You literally don't have to know the details of your path for the path to be fucking epic. I'm telling you, you will get more creative ideas. You will feel better. You will not be sick. You will literally fly when you unclench your fingers and your toes and your butthole from everything that you're trying to control. Hello, everyone. What's up, Omies? Welcome into the Out of Our Minds podcast. Boy, are we glad that you're here. Okay, so guess what? We're jumping right in. Everybody's been on the Michael Singer train, and I finally got on. I mean, I knew about him. I actually was listening to his podcast a little bit earlier this year. I especially was listening to it right when I got Zara, and she was a puppy, and she was being effing crazy, and I needed those reminders of...
Wait, I love that. That was the chapter. It was like, this darkness is bringing me into these spiritual teachings.
Yes. I was like gripping, controlling, freaking out because I had a puppy and my world was a bit upside down. And I needed Michael Singer in my ear to be like, calm the fuck down and stop freaking out about life. So anyway, just in the past week then, I had a dear friend of mine recommend me to read The Surrender Experiment because she had recommended to another friend, and she was like, you should totally listen to it on audio book on Audible. And I was like, it feels like it's time. I feel like I'm primed for this book, not because it's like a concept that's new to me, but because I'm actually like ready to vibe with this teaching. And I love Michael Singer's energy. We've talked about this. I feel like he's got that like shaker upper, like it doesn't give a fuck energy. And I love that in a spiritual teacher. It's just like, sometimes you need someone to be like, cut the shit, And I love it. It really inspires me. So anyway, I start listening to The Surrender Experiment on audio, and I'm walking around my yard, and I'm just a chapter in, and I'm already pinging and effing loving it, because the whole premise of the book, for someone who doesn't know, is it's him telling the story of several decades of his life where he's living by this concept of surrender, but he's really grounding it into Zen teachings and essentially this like core OG philosophy around how to be the true self, but how to also not identify with the thoughts of the mind and with your emotions and all these things, right? Things that me and Nikki, we're in that. Like, this is our world. This is what we talk about, what we live and breathe. And I'm listening in, and he's talking about how the universe is this thing that's been around forever, like for billions of years, and it knows what to do. And this is also a very core spiritual truth of like, there is a harmony, there is an intelligence that's happening here. But the way he just zoomed it out, it was dropping me into another, lens and confirmation of the power of surrender. But I'm kind of going to talk about it in a lens here through the concerns that we can have about our path, like our life path, and how much we can get lost in the sauce with even like our daily things. And is this working? Is this not working? Like we get into problem mode of everything's a problem that we have to fix. So I'm listening to it, and I'm literally giggling to myself about how funny it is. This is exactly what he's saying. I'm not saying anything fucking completely new. Like if you're listening to Michael Singer, you're like, yeah, duh. But he's talking about how you exist in this universe that has been running fantastically, quote unquote, without you, right? Like before you existed, things were running smoothly. Supernovas are created, universes are born, babies are born, like things are fine. Things are moving and grooving. And you zoom out and you see this big perspective that truly the universe is in flow. It knows what to do. Nature knows what to do. There's these processes are always happening. And then in comes the little human consciousness that thinks, all of a sudden, oh no, everything is bad and wrong and everything is fucked up and like I have to come in here and fix it. And he just beautifully holds this duality of the truth that honestly, we're not in control. You're actually not. And through a lot of like our spiritual practices and all these things, we try to be in control. We're like, if I exert myself this way, like this has to happen. And it comes ultimately from fear, but it's like hidden away, right? All these ways that this is the journey of life is we reveal blind spots where we're like, oh, I was acting from fear and thinking I was trying to control my reality. But he reminds you that you're not powerless. So what I was inspired to share today is to drop us in again to an anchored teaching that we can always come back to. And that is a very reliable walking stick, right? If we I think I've explained this analogy before of all these modalities and tools and things in this life, whether it's, human design or subconscious healing or Reiki or anything that you find in your path and it really helps you.
The Bible.
It's a Bible, okay? More on that later in a different episode. It's all a walking stick. Walking sticks, they help you on the path, and eventually sometimes you put it down. Or it's a tool in your tool belt. You use it for a portion and then you put that shit away and you live your fucking life. And you realize that the walking stick is not a master. I'm going to save more of that analogy for later. But this is a very important walking stick that we in our life will pick up a lot. And it's really just this remembrance and this teaching that ultimately isn't a walking stick. It's just really a truth of this reality, which is
this one is the master.
This one is actually
Michael Singer.
This one
is
you
God.
can actually never put down. No, but I'm referencing it more as like the concept itself, right? But yes, no, I agree. Yes, actually, Michael Singer's our master. He is the savior in this instance. Kidding. Okay. But this is an anchored truth, okay, that we come back to time and time again. And as our consciousness shifts, it like hits in a different way. And this is what I was experiencing yesterday, is because this year I've really been on this journey of truly embodying surrender and letting go of the grip and releasing myself also from identities I had that really put me into this way of being where everything had to be controlled. And if I wasn't directly involved in life happening, that meant something good. It was going to be bad. If I'm not involved in controlling, it's going to be bad, right? So it's this remembrance that there truly is a grand, benevolent, loving, natural, infinitely intelligent flow of energy moving through me and you and this entire universe all the time. And it knows what it's doing. Okay. Then you have you and your beautiful consciousness and your soul and your human experience. And you have what we'll call free will, same term Michael Singer uses. And it's this idea that if you just calm the fuck down and stop identifying with the thoughts that are simply just floating through, right? Don't lasso onto it and then make it your whole fucking identity. And you just let it float through. You realize that the whole game is to align yourself with the flow of the universe. We've spoken this many other times. Every time I teach about human design, I'm like, all you're doing here is understanding your organism and your mechanics so you can be more in flow with the universe. And this was just reminding me yet again of this power of realizing that there is a greater intelligence that you feel the presence of more when you release the grip, when you unclench your effing butthole and you finally let yourself just relax and just move your energy. And I felt so inspired by this because I was connecting it as well to creativity and how we just get contorted. Like we literally get the feeling of being so tight and so like, oh, and this and that. And what about this thing? And we have to solve this. And then you take a breath and you say, you know what? What if I just soften for a moment? And then I heard the little, tinker of inspiration, or I have this idea I've been sitting on forever. And I just sit and I create and I let energy move through me. And this is what I did yesterday, which is, it was like an even more potent experience of something I've been leaning into a lot lately, but with the energy of, oh, that's right. Let me just open my laptop and write something because I love to write and I want to do more of it. Why the fuck am I putting it off? Let me just sit here and take a breath and see what wants to come through. And as I'm writing and I'm not thinking too hard about the words I'm using and I'm just letting it flow, I feel this vitality and this joyousness come through me. There's a beautiful sunset behind me. I'm like giggling as the words are coming through and I'm like, oh my God, this is what it's about. Release the grip, stop trying to fix everything and fucking create. Why? Because your free will has this thing where you can direct it into certain places when you feel the energy of literal God and source moving through you. And when you do that, your problems dissolve and things become much more clear. And then you're able to reassess what's in front of you and make tweaks and look at your limitations and understand where the fear is coming from. Fucking beautiful. But sometimes we all can just use a reminder to literally release the grip, calm the fuck down. And honestly, sometimes it's like put yourself in your place in a way of, listen, you're a child of this universe. You're a very important, special piece of this machine and this organism that is so divine, but also you don't control it. You are not in control of the entire universe. And that's like the crazy thing that we unrealizingly slip into is we start to like, it starts as co-creation and fun. And then it turns into, oh, I'm just trying to exert my force over outcomes of everything. And that's the point where you start to feel icky and you're like, okay, this is not my role. I'm not a fucking puppet master of this entire experience. I just get to play in the energies. So I want to pause there and let you chime in, but yeah, I love it because these are the things that are so basic that people forget. We just forget it and they brush it past. Like, yeah, surrender, whatever. And you're like, no, that's all it is. Like, this is the game.
Well, I feel like these are the teachings that bring us back to that regulated state. And once your nervous system is regulated, then you can dive into the freaking manifestation work and doing all of that. But in a moment of not feeling regulated, it's very easy to latch on to manifestation as a tactic to just control and like, I just need to get this thing and then I'll be okay. I'll be able to take this breath. But these teachings, we always come back to them because there is that fine dance where sometimes we catch the ego coming in trying to control. And I love what you're saying about the universe really being this loving force, because this is truly a level of remembering. Like, this is what's happening when we're tapping into these teachings. We are remembering that we are one with this like ever expanding loving energy of the universe. And then every single thing in your life starts to make sense in such a new light. And this is what I was explaining on the portal call when we were going into the individual healing that I was doing. Not I was doing the healing. I was guiding someone through a healing. And this beautiful soul, she was dropping us into the experiences, the emotions, and it was such a moment to see how we will hit up against these moments in life that feel so uncomfortable. And I truly, truly believe that it is because this universal force is so freaking loving that it is always giving you these opportunities to see where you're believing something that just like is limiting you and making you feel that constricted energy. And when it comes to our perception on this universe, I really see this time and time again with so many clients and in my own life and with people that I know. It's like this underlying belief that we're living in a reality field that is working against us always, and that it's something to be feared and we're not going to be okay. And this whole experience is going to kind of like end badly and poorly. And this awakening of remembering how loving this energy is literally shifts everything. And we begin to see reality way more clearly, because now when you're in a moment of challenge, you can actually surrender because you're understanding, oh, there are loving hands under me that I can trust fall into, instead of having this perception that you're like in the hands of the devil and you need to like fight your way out of it. It's such a different energy. And the craziest thing about this reality and how loving it is that when you believe something about yourself, like you are living in a reality that isn't loving, it will literally conspire in your favor for you to be able to experience that. So these teachings about surrender literally unlock a new way of living, because now you're actually seeing clearly that, wow, I don't need to control. And it's just about me being me and allowing myself to kind of float along this river where I'm still taking the aligned action, still in flow. But you have this deep sense of trust because it's not just you, it's you and this magnificent loving force that is here to assist you on this path. And I remember when I was living in LA, Michael Singer was one of the first spiritual teachers that I started to really dive into. And I was doing that coinciding with my subconscious healing journey that I had just begun. And the combination of those two things altered my DNA. And I started walking around my reality field, literally walking around LA in an area where I was feeling so misaligned. I was like, oh my goodness, this is feeling so, I was so dysregulated. There was a pretty bad homelessness crisis near my house. And it was making me feel a little bit on edge, like walking my dog and just not feeling that sense of safety. And I swear, I've told this story before, but I started reading Michael Singer and diving into my healing journey and really tapping into this like deep knowing that I'm living in this benevolent universal experience held by the hands of like literal God. And I remember reading The Surrender Experiment. And just to fill you guys in on like kind of the deeper concepts that take place in this book, Michael Singer essentially promises himself that he is going to surrender at every moment in life to like the highest degree. And when we say surrender, it's like trust falling into every single experience as if it was like divinely crafted for your highest timeline. And it's like seeing the person bumping into you as like, oh my God, I'm saying bumping into you as in like bumping into your car and hitting your car and you getting into a car accident. It's like seeing that moment as like, wow, that was supposed to happen because this led to this and this led to this. So Michael Singer essentially promises himself to literally let go and surrender into every single moment of his life. And I don't want to give away the whole story, but it ends up like his life just unravels in this insane way. And it's wild. It is wild just to see what happens when you let go and you allow the universe to literally unravel the plan that is kind of your destiny. And I remember reading this book and it just shifted everything for me. And of course, I was doing the deeper subconscious work and diving into these ways that I was viewing myself in this reality field. And it's wild because once you shift into the embodiment of this, you get to experience what it feels like to literally have, it's like, imagine you have an assistant that is like so fucking powerful. That's just like following you everywhere, holding you, like grabbing your coat, like guiding you this way, making your reservation. Like that is what the universe wants to do to you and bring you all of the abundance, all of the success. And when we're up in the mind trying to like figure it out and grip, we're living in the reality field that we must do it on our own. And you get to experience that. Like if that is your soul lesson that you want to learn how to do things on your own, there's actually a very sacred period in our path where we get to experience that and feel the power of like creating and doing. And I say this, but it's important to kind of note out that you'll see this in a lot of like that kind of like toxic masculinity, like Alex Hermosi message of just like fucking hustle. And you're like, dude, chill. Like you can bring in some feminine energy here and just relax. But that's his soul journey. Like he's literally learning the like boots on the ground type of creation of just like doing it on your own, which is so powerful. But you can shift into these different perspectives and understandings of like, wait, I don't actually want to do this on my own. I would love to be supported and to be held. Let me just see the ways that I have been and then open up to more of that.
Yes, fucking amen. And this is a perfect segue to like the second thing that I wanted to share with all of this and kind of what I feel is being really kind of on a personal level, something that I've been observing is taking place in me that I think is so magical. And I'm like quite literally in awe of my literal capital S self and the experiences I'm having compared to how I used to relate to reality. And what you're getting at, I posted this reel on my story last night. This teacher, I'm not familiar with this guy's work. I think he's like from a couple decades ago, but his name's David White. I really don't know anything about him. He was just the guy like that. There was someone made an edit of like a speech of his, if you will. And I'll just read a couple quotes from it. And he's saying, how do you know you're on your path? Because it disappears. How do you know that you're really doing something radical? It's because you can't see where you're going. And the things that you've leaned on for your identity have dissolved away. And as I was watching this reel, I was thinking about, I really want to take a second to like explain this, because this is a sensation, like an experience of reality I've been having lately that is very hard to describe, but feels like what we're talking about, like so magical, like the universe is holding you. But I want to like really hone in on the feeling. Basically, I used to walk around and I would like wake up every day with much more of this narrative running that my vision and goals were very much out there and separate from me, and that I had to like forcibly bring them to me, essentially. And now I literally walk around life and I see myself as this little node that's a part of the entire fabric of the universe. And that as if there's like perfectly timed waves pushing through this field, and they nudge me and they give me an idea, or they plant a new vision and they write the next word for me. And I literally, this idea of your path disappears. In the past, I would panic by the idea that I didn't know where my path is going. And today, I genuinely don't need to know where this is all going, because I have such a felt sense that the little waves that are like being pushed through me, and if they deliver a vision or idea, or I see myself on a stage, I just fully trust that that is going to happen, and that it also cannot happen. And it must be that something else better or more aligned will come in its place. And it is just an insane experience of life, because it allows you to be this truly co-creative being where all you have to do, like every fucking opportunity of life, is a chance for you to feel the energy of creative life force moving through you. And I kind of talked about this on the solo episode that I did a couple episodes ago. Like, life is the canvas, and I just find myself being so like, I'm like, oh, I gotta show up to this thing, and if I want to be there, then I just bring myself to it. And it's just a very wild feeling, because I feel like I'm evolving the Capricorn archetype. I'm like, it's very hard to describe it. I think that visual of like, I'm a node on this fabric.
No, you're describing it just perfectly. It is received.
It is an insane feeling. And I just feel I feel even more motivated and capable. And I'm like so fucking driven and excited to do what I do, but not because I have to get somewhere, because I'm like, my little node receives and is quite literally being brought around to where I need to go. And then my free will and like my like inner force, in the sense of like the power of the self and my literal like body of energy, will get revved up and like drive me when it's time. And I just have to take a second to be like, this is insane. Like, if it's just fucking crazy to experience that, and to have so viscerally been on the opposite end of that spectrum. But to like, because in the past I would have feared that I would lose, it was the identity of like the hard worker grinder. But it was now, I feel like I literally quote unquote work even harder, and I'm so full of vitality, but I'm not concerned about the details. And it's an insane feeling. It's an insane feeling. And that is what I really dropped into with what Michael Singer was teaching. And I just like have to speak it out for someone to like hold that vision too, that you literally don't have to know the details of your path for the path to be fucking epic. And I'm telling you, you will get more creative ideas. You will feel better. You will not be sick. You will literally fly when you unclench your fingers and your toes and your butthole from everything that you're trying to control.
Oh my God. Dude, it's so fucking powerful to feel this energy too. Like the frequency that you're transmitting through the words right now. I can imagine you guys listening being like, oh my God, this is exactly what I needed to hear. This is so freaking beautiful. And I've witnessed this unfolding in you, and it's been epic. Like I've seen you go to the edge of the shadow of control just to recognize that it wasn't your truth anymore. And it's really, really special that we just have such a close friendship and relationship where we get to literally see the evolution of each other. And I quite literally have seen you shift into I'm going to use the word higher, but you guys know what I mean here, like a higher state of consciousness when it comes to your mission, your purpose, and your gifts. Because when you are up in the mind trying to figure it out, your gifts and your mission are over here being like, bitch, what we doing? We're over here. And I actually remember we were voice noting, and I was home. I was home in this memory. I was home sitting on my bed. This must have been like a year ago, and you were sending me messages, and I was so clearly seeing, I'm like, you are a channel of creativity. Like you are meant to be here, being yourself, channeling this fucking creative life force energy, and to teach people how to do that as well. And it was like starting to click for you that you just have to like be in that channeling state, and then everything else makes sense. And I think I said this on a client call. Was this? Oh, I remember who this was with. I was talking about how when you are such a powerful channel, there's like so much space for things to like come through, and you truly feel the depth of everything. And I feel like for your path, that control and kind of having the thoughts of needing to figure it out and feeling like it's this linear path, it took up space in the channel, but it was so divine because it was meant to feel like it was on blast, because you got to know that energy so intimately, and it like gave you the core essence of like the shadow frequency of like your gifts. And now it's like you can sit here and talk about this and literally transmit the frequency of surrender, and it is like so embodied and so felt. And I just have seen you been on this path of letting go. And it's so funny how like literally the moment that you're stepping into this, like your fucking TikTok's blowing up, your Instagram's blowing up, like the solo episode, like just everything is in alignment. And that is just a lesson that I want to share with you guys. Like the second we let go, it all comes flowing in, because when we're in that control state of trying to grip, I always imagine it like a helicopter landing pad where you're just like laying on it, being like, we're not ready yet, don't land here. And then as soon as you're like, oh wait, okay, I trust that this will land, I don't have to control the helicopter, you move aside and you just let all of your miracles land, because your energy is like kind of properly allocated to where God wants it to be.
Yes. Let me just say, I fully receive everything you're saying, and I'm so grateful and just like, thank you. And I also like, I really like, the reason I'm sharing this is because this is peak possibility for all humans. Like, I'm not special in that sense. Like, we're all quote unquote special, but I'm not, like, there's nothing that I have that another person doesn't. Like, human beings, a divine, sacred human being, we are all built to be these conduits for divine life force energy, fucking God source, whatever the heck you want to call it, that like clicks in. We are all meant to be a flow for that. And like, your genius, your thing, all of it, whether you're like, I want to start a business, I want to be this type of mom, I want to have this experience of reality. Like, it is not something that you are just alone contriving and trying to bring into place. Like, you're held, and you're not just held, you're like literally fueled.
Yes.
You have fuel that's trying to go through, like, you're a rocket and there's fuel that is always available to you. It's an infinite fucking amount of it. And it's trying to move through you. And Every single person can experience this, gets to experience it. You've already experienced it. When you were a baby, you experienced this. Like you were born and you cried and you screamed to let everybody know that you were online and you were ready to fucking play. And then you kept doing that. And then you would like throw food around and that was art and exciting to you. And then somebody told you it was a problem, but it was never a problem. You always had energy moving through you that wanted to land in different places. You ended up being fascinated by math and science, and you were like this little nerd feeling like you were on top of the world while you were solving math equations. Like everyone has this. Everyone fucking has it. It's only when we clog it up, like you're saying, when you get so in the mind and the logic and just the not self and you forget the flow, that's the only reason it stops. And I get really excited because I'm like, human beings, like there's nothing I love more than seeing a human being in their fucking craft and opening themselves up to this experience. And that is how we heal the fucking world. That is how like Earth evolves and alchemizes into a literal different realm. Like it's more truer version when human beings open themselves up. Nature's already doing it. Like the frogs and the bees are all playing their role. Now it's just your fucking turn. Play your role and align your free will with the natural forces of the universe.
When you see a flock of birds and they are synchronized, flying in the sky, and you're sitting there thinking, how the fuck are they all knowing to turn at this moment? And then something like comes across the path and they all pivot at the same time. That same energy is flowing through all of us. And it's the remembrance that getting in tune with that. This is why we speak so much about like authority and intuition, because that is the guide. That is the guidance. There's just so many different directions that my mind is going right now. The world that we live in built up such an emphasis on logic and figuring stuff out. Literally because of fear. Like you have a frequency of fear, and it's not bad to feel fear, but fear is meant to be an emotion that is like alchemized into the realization of either we don't do that or there's nothing to fear. And I'm just seeing so clearly like the energetics of this collective and why it is we have gone so far from this notion of surrender. And I'm just connecting the dots of like when you're feeling a frequency of fear and not allowing yourself to be with it and to like be the being that can be big enough to just like truly be with that, the stories of what it is you're fearing will start to like become the thing in your head that you then have to like go figure this out. And that's when we disconnect from the heart. That's when we start disconnecting from the higher wisdom of like this benevolent energetic force of the universe. And we go out on this journey of like figuring it out in this very like separated way. And there's a balance of all of this. It's not even to say that when you're in a state of surrender, you're just only allowing in the feminine energy and being in complete flow, which you can, like that can be your journey to experience that and it can work. But I do believe that there's a balance that comes in, but you tap on that logic and you utilize the energy of fear as like an activator into something higher. Like it literally brings you into like higher awareness. And if a moment of fear isn't just intuitively driving you to like make a instantaneous decision to like pivot, or you're alchemizing it into like dropping into the heart and actually feeling more strength and more knowing on how okay and benevolent this entire experience is, then we're doing something wrong, you know? Like, I say all this because I'm just thinking about the wider perspective on why as a collective we have gone so astray from the notion of surrender. And I can just see so clearly the energetics of like when you're in fear and your nervous system is dysregulated and you're living in this reality of like this universe being benevolent and things are wrong and things shouldn't be happening, that is when you start to fight the upstream river. and you start to like turn around and you're taking your walking stick, just fighting the water. And what we're really inviting us all into is this moment of seeing that there is literally no such thing as something that shouldn't be happening. Even talking about the way that the collective can feel into more of this fear frequency, like it's actually perfect and it's meant to be happening because look at what it's doing. It's waking us the fuck up. And when you start living life in this way, this is really where I started to see freedom arise in my life. I'm thinking back to those moments in LA where I was walking around feeling a bit dysregulated and not knowing like if this was ever going to feel different. And it's not to say you're powerless and don't have the power to like influence your reality field, but you do it from a place of realizing that you can't change it. And then it like ultimately does change it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's not even the goal. It's so nuanced.
It's so nuanced, but it's okay. Like if someone has trouble with the idea that the universe is loving or benevolent, how about we just start with like it all just is. Like it just is. Like it just is. Like it just is. It exists. It moves. It goes up. It goes down. And at least from there, you open up a possibility to then decide how you want to relate to it and feel about it. But it's like coming back to this baseline of let's just start with it is what it is for now. And when we look at Earth, like you're saying, kind of painting this picture of like, we can zoom in and see like, okay, we've lost our way here and there, and maybe this could be tweaked and this energy, and we're coming from fear. And then we also are able to zoom out and be like, but it just is what it is. And there's a grand plan unfolding here. Mm-hmm. And me and you choose to believe and operate in a universe where there is a loving force and things are ultimately, you know, happening in our favor for our highest good. But I also think there's this, you can have the same effect of all of this by even just making it completely neutral and just don't even label it as anything at all. And I think Michael Singer talks about this too a lot, where it's like, let's just start with neutralize it all. And then we come in and we can do our human thing of like, it's like that term for in it's like a literary term for when you give human characteristics to like an animal or an object. I forget there's a term for that. But it's like arguably we're doing that with the whole universe, which I think is beautiful. But we can at least come back to that neutral state. And from the neutral state, you become open again to create and to decide how you want to relate and to use your free will in alignment with what's just there. And that is, I think, yeah, that's just what it comes back to. It's just like, that's the anchor. Okay, the foundation. From there, we build and we move and we play and create and then go figure it out. But in this way, not that you're like freaking out. You're just doing it because it's naturally moving through you to want to solve this thing from an interesting perspective.
Yeah. And I feel like another aspect of this that can give clarity is when we're saying benevolent, what I'm connecting that to is the energetics of expansion. So like the universe is always assisting us in expanding and growing because it literally is always expanding and growing. So when you think about like benevolent forces, they're forces that come in to assist in the expansion. And when you feel into your own life and you look back at the unwinding of your path, you'll see these moments where it felt like things were going to shit. But what was really happening was a benevolent force assisting you in your expansion. And I think the words like benevolent and thinking of this like loving God figure that's like, I love you. It's just the literal frequency of love is expansion. And like, it's actually very neutral when you just think about the energetics of it. But we like to like put this like Disney movie effect on it. And we can do that to like make ourselves feel more of the love because that's what we're associating it with just because of our conditioning. But from a very neutral perspective, like ET perspective, benevolent is expansion and love And that is literally the essence of who we are. So why wouldn't there be an energy that is also one with who we are? And then you just start looking
Yes.
at energies that someone would label as bad or evil or like even fear-based, and you start understanding that those energies also play a role in expansion. It's like
Right.
the I feel like Sarah shared a TikTok on this about a reel about how she bumped into someone once at like a national park and they started talking about wildfires, and the whole story was him sharing how wildfires allow for this like super nutrient dense ash that will then kind of like fertilize the land and will lead to like just a whole process of like regeneration. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
And it's just like a really beautiful moment to see how like something that we would label from the human experience as something bad and it shouldn't have happened, you're seeing that there is always a benevolent, like an expanding energy that is supporting the even the death of something. So
Yeah.
when you feel into this, it just adds a whole different kind of color to this, because you can read up on like, oh, this benevolent force, and you're reading Michael Singer and you're imagining this like loving God figure, but it's all just energy. And when you see these moments,
it's the awareness. Like that's what, because this is why we've talked about this before of like the term love from the aspect of like Disney movies and like romance, but love is the frequency of just, it is able to hold all things. It's just the awareness that never judges and never like, that's like, that is ultimate love when we say loving universe.
which makes sense because it's so connected. It's like that heart space energy. And I'm thinking back to that episode we did as the heart as a portal to the divine. Is that what it was called? Mind-blowing conversation about the heart, I think the episode was called. But
yeah, heart's intelligence.
Yeah. And like when you think about the energetics of this, it really does make so much sense, because you feel this like throbbing heart sensation when you're tapped into that frequency of love. And just think about if that is our connection to all that is, and I'm going to point up there, but you know what I mean? It makes sense that there would be this like acceptance and just observant, non-judgmental awareness. It's like, I don't know how to put this into words. It's more of a felt experience, and I'm just seeing the energetics of it all. But surrender is about aligning with that flow. And then resistance is coming in and thinking that that flow is something that shouldn't be happening. And that's the, that'll be a beautiful lesson in and of itself, because then you really put yourself up against life and realize, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah. It's crazy. I literally feel my body just, don't you just feel so, oh.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's
That's
wild.
how you know.
Yeah. It's wild.
That's how you know. That's how you know. It's like, okay, we're tuning into something that allows our experience to be and to flow and to move. That's the good stuff.
I'm telling you, every time I tap into Michael Singer, I feel high.
Yeah. I'm excited to keep listening to the book and reading it. And I always find the perfect books and little things that I tap into for exactly also what I'm like working on, like projects I have going on, that they always are such a perfect like wave hitting my node. So I'm excited to keep tuning into it.
And if you guys haven't tapped into Michael Singer, I would highly, highly recommend reading The Untethered Soul before you read any of his other books.
Yeah. Yeah. The Omis are going to love it. Omis required reading. Go tap into Michael Singer.
It's on the book list that we have. I don't even know if that's still on our website.
I think it is. We should probably check.
Probably with like an old email funnel.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's a very good book list. Well, okay. Anything else you want to add in here?
Yeah, I feel like there's one last message coming through about kind of the contrast of this. There are moments in life where you feel like you're gripping and controlling. And instead of thinking in your mind right now that there's something you're doing wrong, I want you to see that as like the initiation of surrender that you're moving through. And you'll notice if you kind of map out your life that any moments that were like peaks of challenge for you, it took a turn the second that you let your body expand and exhale, and you just like become the being that can actually hold the energy of what it is you're experiencing without like creating all of the stories. And I posted this on Threads last night, but it takes a powerful motherfucker to be able to like meet your own chaos without collapsing into it. And I feel like this is the perfect place to practice that because we all have these control tendencies. And I'm still moving through areas in my life where I feel like there's initiations that are coming up and I'm in the middle of. But let yourself feel the gripping and then realize that's where the initiation's taking place. You're not doing anything wrong. Remember, it's all here supporting you.
So beautiful. Wow, that was beautiful. Definitely leave a comment below this episode or send us a message if this resonated with you. We love hearing from you and just, love to know how all these things are passing through the filter of your own consciousness. And don't forget to like this video if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe if you're not, send it to a friend, and check out the description for all the things that we have going on, depending on when you're listening to this. We would love to have you in our world. So that's it. We love you and we will see you on the next one. Bye.